Christmas, captains. Your favorite president is back on the seas today since Wargaming with their recent December 2025 update graced us all with the absolutely god-tier 70% off coupon. Now, the thing that makes this coupon so special is the fact that it pretty much applies to any ship in the store that is available for doubloons and only doubloons. So basically, all of you guys and gals out there who wanted to use this coupon for a steel ship or a GXP ship, you're shit out of luck like all of those Joe Biden auto-pen pardons and executive orders. Anyhow, with that said, let's jump right on into my top 5 ships I recommend with the 70% off coupon, starting off this list with number 5. Now, if you like torpedo destroyers, look no further than my number 5 pick. This one being none other than the stealth torpedo ninja Japanese boaty boat, Udachi. The Udachi is a Tier 7 premium destroyer belonging to the anime kingdom. I mean the Japanese Navy. Since this thing is a Tier 7 premium, it prints more money than my friend Elon Musk. And that's saying something since Elon has a lot of fucking money. Now, the thing that makes the Udachi so special is, number 1, its torpedoes. The Udachi has those classic 610mm defeater torpedoes that hit like freight trains. I'm not even kidding. These torpedoes have like a max damage of like 22,000 on my build. On top of that, I wasn't joking when I said this ship is a stealth ninja boat. If you build it right, you can get the Udachi's concealment easily well below 5 kilometers. This thing is practically a surface submarine. You've got to love Japanese torpedo boats. Now, number 2, the Udachi also has pretty decent guns. You can catch some people off guard with the Udachi's guns, since most people will just assume that you'll be just torping and only torping. I find that if you manage to hit someone with a torpedo and cause a flood, and that ship ends up damaged conning that flood, just shoot some guns off if you can and try to set a fire on that ship. Also, in gunfights, the Alpha Strike is quite potent. It's not uncommon to slap the shit out of enemy destroyers for like 1,500 to 2K damage a salvo. Overall, if you're a fan of torpedo boats, especially Japanese torpedo boats, then the Udachi is a pretty damn good option for you ninja wannabes out there. Now anyways, let's go ahead and move on to my number 4 pick. This one is dedicated to all of my fellow cruiser degenerates out there. My number 4 pick is none other than the Tier 7 premium cruiser from Putin's puddle, the Peter Bag. Where do I even begin with this ship? Well, I begin, of course, with the fact that this ship is, of course, a Tier 7 premium. So it just makes absolute fucking bank so long as you do well in battles. Now the Peter Bag comes with 9 180mm guns that have very good pen on the AP. It really isn't hard to absolutely rail ships with that AP, especially broadside cruisers and even battleships. Pay Bag's AP is straight up retarded, almost as good as American AP, which makes no damn sense since the Russian Navy is hardly a navy in real life. Yet in this game, the Russians seem to have some of the best ships. Tell me you're Russian biased without telling me you're Russian biased. If Wargaming could, they would bend over for Vladdy Daddy very gladly. The Peter Bag also comes with a sonar, which isn't really that special. It comes with a standard heel as well, which keeps this menace afloat for longer. The Peter Bag also comes with a very handy-dandy 11.7 kilometer radar that lasts for 23 seconds. Very nice to have if you need to get those pesky-ass stealth submarine wannabe destroyers spotted. The Peter Bag overall is a must-have in your cruiser collection. The Peter Bag's armor is okay, not great, but not bad either. Overall, I'd say the Peter Bag is one of the best cruisers in the game. Good guns, good consumables, and overall just a flexible cruiser with nasty potential. Now let's move on to my number 3 pick. This pick is an absolute classic and one of my favorite ships in the game to take out. I am, of course, talking about none other than His Majesty's ship, HMS Warspite. The Warspite is one of the best battleships in the game. It is the perfect mid-tier bully. The main thing that makes this battleship so good at Tier 5 is the guns. The Warspite possesses 15-inch guns that travel at Mach 2 and hit like semi-trucks. The Warspite comes with some pretty decent heals, some observation planes that help with your accuracy, and some secondary enhanced targeting consumables, which you'll rarely use. Overall, the consumables aren't that great, but that is mainly since Warspite is only a Tier 5. And most ships don't start getting really decent consumables like radar and whatnot until Tier 6 and 6, 7. Anyhow, the Warspite's guns are really good for the tier. The guns can overmatch most ships' noses at the tier. Also, I find that overall, the guns themselves are just pretty consistent. The Warspite's armor for the tier is pretty good. Warspite, at the end of the day, is one of those battleships with an all-or-nothing armor sort of scheme. You will have to dreadnought shuffle a bit, turn to get off your salvo, then turn back in a bit, and hopefully most incoming shells will shatter and ricochet off of your belt armor. Warspite suffers like most battleships at the tier with fire spam, so watch out for that shit. Other than that though, so long as you play right, Warspite is an absolute king at Tier 5. Then there's a must-have for you battleship captains out there. If you have made it this far into the video and you haven't liked and subscribed, you're banned. Hit that like and subscribe button for Dr. Ghost, unless you want me to send ice to your house. Anyhow, let's move on to my number 2 pick. This one is one of the best Doritos at the tier if played right. I am talking about none other than the Tier 6 premium German destroyer, Z-35. The Z-35 is an absolute must-have for you destroyer players out there who like a good balance of gunboating, torping, and destroyer countering. Z-35 is a beast at cap controlling. Now, why do I say that the Z-35 is a beast at cap control? Well, I say this because the Z-35 possesses the ability to sonar smoke combo. Z-35 sonar is the best at the tier. It reaches out to 5 kilometers. Basically, what you do in Z-35 is pull up into a cap, find the enemy destroyer, smoke up sonar, that enemy destroyer, and absolutely shit on it. That's basically the goal. Now, of course, in some situations that may not be possible, since the destroyer you're fighting may be a Z-35 himself or some shit. That is when you adapt and overcome that shit. Just in case you get spotted, the Z-35 has a pretty good amount of health for a Tier 6 destroyer. Z-35's torpedoes are nothing great, but they get the job done if needed. You've got 8 533mm torpedoes that go out to, by default, 9 kilometers. The torps don't do a lot of damage, but if you hit enough of them, you will sink bitches guaranteed. Also, Z-35 is a Tier 6 premium, so it does make a good chunk of credits. Z-35, if you build it right, can also be quite stealthy in of itself. Mine, for example, has a 5.2 kilometer detection. At the end of the day, finding the right builds for all of your ships is super important. Do not be afraid to experiment with commanders and builds. Remember, there is always another battle. If something don't work, you can try something different. This game is super flexible when it comes to the commander system and builds overall. Now, getting back to the Z-35, I run concealment mod on it, and honestly, you should always be running this mod on any DD. And that about concludes the Z-35. Overall, good all-round destroyer, decent guns, torps, consumables, and whatnot. Z-35 can do it all. A perfect jack-of-all-trades destroyer. Need to counter a destroyer. Z-35 can do that. Need to torpedo a big fat battleship or anyone else. Z-35 can do that. Need to go into a cap and contest the hell out of that shit. Z-35 sure as shit can do that. Overall, Z-35 is quite flexible, and it's just one of the strongest destroyers at Tier 6 to this day. Now let's move on to the moment you've all been waiting for. My number 1 pick. This ship was a hard-fought choice as there's so many good options. Nelson and Plymouth were on my mind, so was Constellation. Rodney came to my head as well, but I don't own Rodney, so it would not be right for me to even consider it in this list. However, at the end of the day, I came up with this pick. My number 1 pick is none other than the Tier 7 premium cruiser of the greatest navy on Earth, the USS Wichita. The Wichita is my #1 overall recommended pick for many reasons. Let's get into them, shall we? Starting off with the obvious, the Wichita is a Tier 7 premium, so you guys should know by now that it prints credits so long as you don't suck in battle. Now for the loadout, the Wichita comes with some decent soders. They reach out to 4.4 kilometers, which is respectable. Now the really special thing about this magnificent ship is that it is, of course, an American cruiser, so it comes with a 9-kilometer radar that lasts for 30 seconds. This tool alone is incredibly useful when needing to spot those pesky destroyers for you and your team. The Wichita also comes with some heals as well. So in having those heals, you can stay in the fight a bit longer like a true patriot. The overall health pool on the Wichita is just shy of average. Most cruisers at this tier have 40k plus health. Wichita is just shy of that with 38k health. Usually, this minor difference really doesn't affect the gameplay, as you should not be taking a lot of damage to begin with in any cruiser. Now, of course, the Wichita's guns are phenomenal. Wichita possesses the classic deadly American 8-inch guns that smack just about everything. Over-angled cruisers, and especially broadsides of anything, will get absolutely wrecked by these 8-inch guns. These guns, by the way, reload very quick as well. So you can just continuously pop off these guns just about forever. The high explosive shells are also good as well. They have a decent fire chance and good pen. So if you're facing someone with a bit too much armor, or you just like to watch the world burn, load that high explosive and watch the Reds burn like California. Overall, the guns are just good, plain and simple, and usually will never let you down. The only time the guns will let you down is if #1, you suck, or #2, your RNG sucks. Anyways, the overall anti-aircraft defense is pretty decent, but not as good as, let's say, Baltimore or Rochester. Wichita is historically a less modern cruiser, and that reflects in game. It basically has 1930s era anti-aircraft defense. Anyways, let's talk about the Wichita's maneuverability. This thing turns and dodges on a dime. Fantastic overall maneuverability for a cruiser. I am not even built into the agility, and I get a 6-second rudder shift time. Also, a 680-meter turning circle radius on a heavy cruiser is fantastic. Overall, the maneuverability is just fantastic. The ability to just pump out shitloads of shells all the while, dodging incoming salvos, can seem downright unfair at times. Now for the Wichita's concealment. It is pretty good overall. On my current build with concealment mod, I have a 10.8 kilometer concealment, which is very respectable. And finally, the Wichita's armor. For a heavy cruiser of this size and agility, it also has good armor. 27 millimeters absolutely everywhere. 27 millimeters protects you from armor-piercing shells all the way up to 15 inches. So basically, so long as the enemies you're facing don't have 16-inch guns, they will not be able to overmatch you. Overall, the Wichita is great guns, good consumables, great agility, decent concealment, and good armor. The only downside I find with the Wichita is the fact that the gun's turret rotation time is quite slow. If you can manage to adjust for that and get used to it, you should be just fine. So anyhow, that about wraps up today's video. That is my top 5 list of ships I recommend with a 70% off coupon. Let me know in the comments below what you will be getting. Any questions, concerns, and all that fun stuff, feel free to leave a comment. Dr. Ghost is happy to respond to most down there. Anyhow, on your way out, make sure to like and subscribe. Hell, even share this video if you really enjoyed. Anyways, happy holidays. Stay safe out there. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I bid you all farewell. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.